This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so which means our primary focus is towards like how to build data warehouse solution by using what? ChatGPT. So that's going to be the ultimate goal. But there are multiple tools that we have in the market. But can we apply any smarter techniques so that we can make the things happen faster than expected? Answer is yes. That's what they claim. But we need to see it in reality, right? So that's what we are trying to get there, right? So now let me share. Yeah, so you can see my desktop, right? Yes. So yesterday, I think we have seen like how to take care of content creation over here, right? So by using what GPT, yeah. So these things we know. So yes, yeah, these features I think we have understood clearly. So out of n number of features, right, most widely used feature would be what? Content creation. Yeah. So that's where his market is heading towards, right? So for example, there is a data which is spread across multiple parts or multiple stores or multiple medias. So some could be confidential, some could be public. So whatever we can get it, it is mainly what authentication data, which is based on the freely available internet data. Yeah. So that's what we can see here. We can create a new content, yeah, like a blog post, or we can also create article. We can also get product description, whatever. So which means based on what we supply, we could get corresponding response. That is why the prompt is going to play very key role in AI industry. You know, if you look at next, let's say 5 years or 10 years down the line, you don't need to have the expertise on any technology, but what we need to have is to provide the prompts. So that is why if you look at this machine learning or AI world where prompt engineering is going to play very key role in the coming years to come, right? So so that's what is going to be the key focus area, right? So that's fine. So one of the key aspect that we could perform by using ChatGPT is what? Automated customer support. As we all know that there are some pre-built questions and corresponding pre-built answers. So if we convert this to programming context where we can build n number of decision making blocks, right? Like if, else, and so on, right? We can have n number of decision making blocks, and for each of the block, you will have corresponding response for a given specific question, which means we supply some input and we expect the corresponding response by using what? Appropriate decision making block. Remember that. Yeah? So likewise, depending upon the industry that we deal with, we can have proportional number of decision making statements, and then appropriate call would get evaluated based on the input from the user. Remember that. Clear, guys? So but these are all what? Pre-built questions and answers, but there could be some cases where manual intervention is required only those cases only manual support is required. Rest most of the cases or most of the customer questions can be answered in an automated way. In that case, ChatGPT is going to help us a lot, right? Sorry. Now, in the data warehousing context, this eighth bullet point is a very important thing, guys. Yeah. So, if you look at like in order to produce the data warehouse, what need to be done? The first and foremost thing is what we need to carry out analysis, because once you get the data right, we need to start carrying out analysis. Yeah. So, which means as part of analysis, what all should be taken care. So it will give us the guidelines or best practices within ChatGPT. Apart from that, for example, we need to stress towards one of the specific analysis technique or profiling technique, right? In that case, we can ask question to ChatGPT to provide answer to that specific question. We can get it. Example, we have done yesterday one example, right? One, to identify duplicate records for a given input sample data. And second, we have also identified what we call null records, wherever there is a null, right? Yes or no? I think we have seen that. I've just given two examples, but we are going to talk about many more examples, you know, as we go on. So because I've just given only tips of iceberg, remember this, but we have to go with what? With many more examples that I'm going to talk anyway. So with realistic data, with the sample data, with the hybrid kind of data, whatever, right? We'll talk about many examples, because while building a solution to warehouse, right, we need to make sure that we have taken care with the different permutations and combinations to generate or to build data warehouse. So I'll try to cover most of the permutations and combinations, which includes one of them is what? Analysis part, right? And ninth is what? Chatbot integration, guys. For example, let us say we have got what I call n number of domains, and each domain has got its own specialities. Now let us say we are going to focus on what I call data integration or data quality or data warehousing related questions. Now the point here is that can we make the things automated so that without user intervention one can able to perform what I call warehousing activities automatically. To do that, we can build our own tool which we call chatbot, which means what? If you ask for something, that bot will respond based on your question. It is just like a tool, guys, or we can also consider it as what? A script or a bash script or shell script, whatever, right? We are going to build it by using any scripting or programming language. Once you are done with that, this particular bot would take the responsibility of providing answers for a given question automatically. Yeah. So which means we can integrate with chatbot platforms to provide more conversational capabilities to users. Conversational means what? Like bot can respond to humans. It's like a integration or communication between humans and humanoids, in the sense real humans and artificial humans, which is chatbot or bot, we can say. So that's it. So that's where we are going to talk about chatbot integration with many examples, right? So next is what we have also talked about what are the underlying architectures that will be taken care, that will be used while building the model. As we all know that ChatGPT is one of the language model. You know, there are multiple language models depending upon the amount of data that we deal with. We would be choosing appropriate language model. For example, there is a LLM, which is a large language model. So that has been designed in order to deal with what? Large volume of data. So data could be expressed in terms of billions, trillions, jottabyte or zettabyte of data. Remember that. Which means what? Depending upon the amount of data that we process, right, we can choose appropriate model to get the job done. Remember that, right? So now one of the learning is what? Deep learning. You know, we got multiple learning techniques: supervised learning, unsupervised, deep learning. There are different kinds of models. ChatGPT SP 3.5 follows what? Deep learning. So even 4 also would follow the same thing. So which is purely driven from deep neural network. Because remember, in one of the earlier session, I talked about neural network architecture, right? Where we talked about input layer, output layer, and hidden layers. Yes or no? Which means what? For a given input parameters, for a given input data, parameters means we supply input to the chat GPT, right? That's the input. So we can have n number of parameters or n number of textual inputs that can be taken as a base for chat GPT, and based on that n number of parameters, chat GPT is going to carry out analysis based on what? Deep learning architecture. You know, then generates what? The corresponding response, which we call textual response. We are going to get it right. The textual response would contain a mix of what? Tables, images, programming or language code or appropriate language code, and any other reference links. So all of them would be part of what? Response or generated text. Remember that. So I didn't talk about like image or videos or whatever, right? So far we dealt with what? Textual data only. We could also talk about image, or we can also talk about videos also, which means we can supply image as an input and try to get the response, or we can also supply text as an input, try to obtain image as a result. Yeah. So that anyway we are going to see in detail, but as part of deep learning architecture, it can support by supplying what? N number of parameters. N could be millions or billions. Remember that. That's what deep learning. Yeah. But in case of NLP, yeah, so NLP is basically, it is going to interpret user input and start providing a corresponding response, including tokenization. Tokens means what? Tokenization means what? It is a process of divisioning of source system data into what? Multiple words, and each word we can also consider it as what? A token. No? And within a word, if we try to split, each character would be considered as what? A sub token. Remember that. Yeah. So which means what? These kind of simple data, like getting that input data from the user and get it translated to tokenization process, which is the divisioning part. So which can have name entity recognition, a part of speech tagging, whatever. It could be anything. It can just accept the user input, interprets, and start producing the corresponding response. Yeah? Which means NLP is one of the good processing language which is going to help us to understand what you call humans language with what you call ChatGPT language, or we can say uh, non-humans language. Yeah, converting one type of language to other type of language. So because AI, it understands its own language, and humans understands our own language, which means language to language interaction would take place, which means what? Humans language and humanoid language. That would be taken care by using what? Natural language processing. In short, we call it as what? NLP. Remember that. Clear, right? So that's it. Simple. Input. Based on the input, you'll get a response. Just remember that. Yeah. So anyway, we'll elaborate in detail as we go on with many practical examples. Yeah. Next, remember guys, context. Yeah. It is always advisable to focus on specific context. For example, let's say we are focusing on what I call one particular retail domain. So within the retail, we need to identify corresponding or right keywords and supply the keyword specific or uh, keywords which are specific to retail industry so that we could get the right response. So as I was saying earlier, you should always ask specific questions based on the context, which means questions should be related to context. In this case, keywords related to what? Retail industry. Yes or no? Like retail industry, what do we have? Item, item tracking, tagging, labeling, barcode, address, all that, right? They are the specific business related attributes for retail industry. So, so similarly, we can talk about pharma specific keywords, and so on, which means contextual awareness. Remember that, yeah, yeah. And then language generation. Remember, guys, as we all know that we can also have what we call generating text, a new text that is coherent, grammatically correct, contextually appropriate. Which means what? We can supply some input. That input could be even grammatically incorrect. It itself would correct it and generates what? Appropriate response. You know, which means what? There is an inbuilt grammar as part of this what I call ChatGPT, which has got the responsibility to correct it by itself and produce the corresponding response. Yeah. So any language. Yeah. A reinforcement, remember guys, it's a trial and error method. Yeah. So in the sense we supply some input. If we don't get it, again we supply some other input and try to get it. We go with what? Trial and error method to get the response over time. Remember this because we should keep on continuously improve its language processing capabilities over time. Trial and error means what? We supply some input. Let's say we have not got the appropriate response. Again, we supply some other input. Likewise, we'll keep on supplying what we call different kinds of input with a trial and error approach. So that's where reinforcement learning would come in. I'll talk about that in detail with the diagram also, like how normal learning or supervised learning or reinforced learning would take place, how models will understand these learning approaches to get the response for us, right? Now, the next is what? Knowledge base. Remember, guys, I think I was trying to give examples on banking industry, right, where they don't expose their data outside. Now, the question, let's say our chat GPT should work based on what? Their own repository. In that case, do we have do, which means does ChatGPT has got any way to integrate with what? Our own repository, which is a knowledge base? Answer is yes. So that's why external data sources, that's a banking data source. Yes or no? Or GitHub or Twiki or some other third party storage medias. Now, let us say once you have access to connect to that particular knowledge base, then we can start performing like request and response. We can key in the input and expect the corresponding response based on that particular knowledge base. Remember this because in case if we have any proprietary databases, in that case we need to have a way to get connected to their proprietary databases and get the response based on our key inputs. That's it. Now, same concept holds good even for what? Cloud-based infrastructure. Remember, guys, ChatGPT could be deployed in a cloud environment. Like example, GCP. It's a Google Cloud platform. Yes or no? So once you could able to deploy ChatGPT in Google Cloud, then we can start making use of that particular Google Cloud to scale up, which means there is going to be n number of virtual machines, right, within this Google Cloud. So depending upon our volume of data, we can allocate appropriate number of virtual machines to get the job done. So which means if you have any large if you have large volume of data, then we can use corresponding number of virtual machines in order to get the job done. Remember that. Which means what? ChatGPT with a cloud is going to be the good combination in near future. Remember that because cloud one, it's ease of use and it is very what you call effective solution in order to take care of resources availability and resources usage. Next, from while building a solution, ChatGPT is going to help us because it knows like how to create a content out of generated content. Then we can infer appropriate functionality to meet our requirements. So if we try to combine both of them, one from AI side, which is AI modeling tool, which is ChatGPT, with the cloud, which is going to be the good combination to meet any customer demands. Remember that. So that's it, guys. Now let us try to focus on some practical examples. Yeah. For that, let us start with what one of the first and foremost thing, which is going to be, let us say, uh, how to pull the data from source systems, right? So to do that, we can write SQL query or SQL queries to extract the data from one or more tables. Yes or no? Now the question, to do that, we have to have knowledge on what? SQL to take care of it. But if you go with this AI tool or AI modeling language, we can just ask to create a query for us so that we can just run it. We don't need to have a, what you call language understanding. Instead, we just need to have knowledge on what? Like how to execute it. That's it. Now, let's say we know like how to execute and we know the uses of ChatGPT, then we can combine both of them to pull the data from source systems. Remember, so that is where this ChatGPT is going to help us. One, create a structure or create a definition, like perform like whatever SQL does, like a DDL operations or DML operations or TCL operations or DCL operations or create a stored procedure or create a stored function or create a trigger or create synonyms, whatever, right? We got a bunch of concepts within this SQL, right? So all of them would be taken care quite easily by using what? ChatGPT. Let us try doing it one after another. Yeah. Okay. Now let's open ChatGPT. Now it's empty, right? Nothing is there. We are starting from the scratch. Yeah. The first thing, let's say create a table employee with the default columns. Can you see here? Because in if you go with any SQL language, right, is structured query language, right? First thing what we need to do, we need to create the definition or a structure or metadata. Yeah. Without that, we cannot perform any database operations or any data warehousing operations. That is why we are trying to start from the scratch with employee table. It could be anything, guys. We are starting with employee table. Enter. Yeah. Can you see here? So we don't need to remember the syntax or semantics. So we just have to understand like how to key in the inputs for ChatGPT. Can you see here? So now it is created a table which employee table with a default fields in it like employee ID, employee name, salary department and so whatever. But if you want to add, let us say like we have got alter command, right? So alter means we can modify existing column with a type length or whatever, or we can also add new columns to an existing table. Yes or no? Or we can also delete. So all of this altering options could be done against with what existing table. Now let us say add, let us say employee type, emp type to emp table, right? So that's it. So which means we are trying to add new column to an existing table. Can you see, guys? emp type, it got added. That's it to an existing table. So existing table contains 5 columns in it, and then with a newer table contains 6 columns in it. It's one extra. Yeah. So we can also add one more, which is employee category, because we'll have different types of employees, right? Yes or no? Like you will have a project manager, project lead, or senior project manager, or associate vice president, or vice president, whatever, right? You will have different types of employees, right? Now we can add, let's say, a new column where we store employee role. Yeah. So that's it. So we can add that. Let it get added. So how to execute it in our environment, I'll talk about it. Now we are trying to understand how to, what do you call, take care of building the structure first. Then execution will get there. Yeah. So which means we are trying to understand chat GPT capabilities. Then see whether we could execute that within our environment or not. That's the later part of the story. Right? Now show complete structure of employee. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see here? Show columns employee. Yeah. So that's it. This way we could able to get what we call show columns. We can just run it in our environment. You'll get that like a describe table, right? You'll get all within the, or we can also use show columns. Remember, guys, these commands might differ from one database to other database, like syntax, like Sybase, SQL, or whatever, right? So some little difference. We can also ask for, let us say, so create table emp for Oracle database, right? So we can ask for specific question, assuming that in our environment, Oracle got installed. See here. So based on our columns, right? It is created table, right? See all the columns, which includes employee type, employee role. Just now we add a new column, right? Including that, it is created a table structure with all the columns specific to Oracle database only. Remember that. So this is how we need to ask what specific question. So now let us say extend the above for MySQL database. Can we do that? Let us say that. See, we got it. Now we can just copy and paste in a notepad and see whether there is any syntactical difference. You know, this is MySQL. Most it will be same. There could be some differences. If not, it will be same. Or some cases it will be same. Some cases not. Yeah. Can you see, guys? This is MySQL. I'll just put here. First one is what? MySQL, and second one is what? Oracle. Yeah. Now can you see your first field? Employee ID, column name is same. Here the type is integer in MySQL. Here the number. Primary key, here also primary key. That is same. Next is what? Employee name. Here it is same. So here also it is. There is no change. Right? Employee salary. Can you see here 10 to default 00, it is same. Employee department. This is also almost, it is exactly same. Employee start date. Can you see here? Date default sys date here, but here current date. Yeah. So which means it differs from database to database. That is why we should ask for what? Specific question. Yeah. So I'm trying to repeat this many times, right? And then employee type, it is same. And then employee role, it is same. That's it. Clear, guys? Like how to create a structure from the scratch, and also how to add columns to existing structure. So, and we've also talked about specific to MySQL database and also Oracle database. I think we talked about all of them. Yes or no, guys? So that's it. I hope it is clear, right?
Yes,
Ramesh?
yes, yes.
Yeah. In case if
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going
We get
bit faster, yeah, let me know, guys. I'll just cool. So fine.
sure.
Now that we know
Difference we will get.
how to create, yes, Gayatri, yeah, we are seeing difference, right? Only some columns where there
Yeah,
is a
yeah, we
difference, some are
just
similar.
yes, 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 yes. If
Yes.
we know this
Yeah,
both
very
the
good.
SQL and Oracle, we can get it easily. So we have to ask the
Exactly.
specific and exact question to ChatGPT, right?
You are right. You are right. If you are sure about it, if not, we can ask general question and you can just fine tune it. So
Yes,
that's where we
yes.
use like a trail and error method. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
So yeah, if you are sure about it, you can supply. If not, first start with the generic, then come up with what specific. Yeah. So
Yes,
that way we can do it. Yeah. Fine. Now, so structure part is done. Now the next question. Let us say we need to insert data to this particular table. So insert sample data to employee table. Oracle will just go with a specific question. Insert sample data to EMP table in Oracle database. Syntax. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So now we can see it. It is trying to insert
that's it.
as a three rows, right? So we know syntax, right? Insert into table with column names and corresponding
Yes,
values. That's it. Yeah. So that's all. So similarly, let us say update, let's say employee salary from 50,000 to let's say 80,000. So update emp underscore salary, where emp salary equals to 50,000 to 1 lakh or whatever, right? So let us see whether it works or not. See, it is up. See, we got the update command, right? Update employee, set employee
Yes.
salary is equal to 1 lakh, where employee salary is
Where
equal to
is
50,000. It's update command, no? It is giving us update command. So we can just execute in our uh, prompt so that you'll get a response. Yeah. So now let us say uh, retrieve retrieve the data from EMP table. Can you get that? It cannot execute it because it can only generate it. So you should get corresponding responses failed or whatever, right? See, we get only select query, but can you get the response here? Like based on the select query, answer is no. Remember that, right? So it can only give us like a what you can do solution, that execution should be done what you call in our environment. That's what is the main thing, right? It can only provide a solution, but execution should be taken care by our end. Yeah. So now we did what? Creation of a table, modifying a table, inserting data to that,
insert
and update.
update?
Yes, update also we have done. Then select also we have done, which means we have done DDL operations and also DML operations. Yes or no?
Yes.
So yeah, they're all part of SQL, right? Because you're focusing on SQL part. Yeah. So let's stress on that. Now, the next question. Once you could able to take care of this, so now let us say, can we create a stored procedure to perform or to obtain some salary for a given department? Let's ask for it. Yeah. So let us say create stored procedure to perform or to calculate some salary drawn from a specific department, right? Or from a given department. Yeah, clear, no? So that's it. Now let us see. So can you see here? So if you look at this
Yeah.
particular, so it's creating, right? Yes, it is creating, and also it is showing up PLC code
Going up
block
to
to execute that. Correct, no? Yes.
yes.
So now let us start from the beginning. So create or replace procedure name, yes or no? Then we
Yeah.
got department number as input
The
and
number
salary is
and
what?
what is
Out.
that?
So this is in parameter, this out parameter, right? Yes or no? Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah, as begin.
It take
So is begin.
10 to 15 minutes time to write this stored procedure for us as input.
Exactly. Yeah, no, even if you write also you'll get some syntax issues, all that, right? Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes. Yes.
All the those headaches will be gone with this. Yeah, not only these are very simple things, right? I'll talk about very
Yeah.
complex things as we go on. We have just started, right? Yes or no? Yeah.
Yes.
So, some salary from, so into means is just like placing the data in some other column. Like for example, can you see here output parameter? So we are trying to place the sum salary in out parameter. Yes or no? So then from this employee table based on where clause. So where clause is what? Employee department. Yeah? And this department will get it as input. Yes or no? So which means whatever department that user supplies, right? It is going to apply where clause against that and calculate some salary and populate output parameter which is result of some salary. That's it. So this is how we create what? Stored procedure. I hope it is clear, right? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, Nashim.
That's perfect. So now the next thing is what? Execution part we'll see. Let me set up the environment. database environment, language environment, and ETL environment, and other environments I'll set up, like even repository environments. Then whatever it generates, right, will execute and say it, yeah, with solution oriented, yeah. So that we'll see. We are trying to understand the basics only, yeah. So that's it. So we can also see the description, like what it does, because we already know it, right? So we have just understood. If we don't know also, it will just tell us it's SP name, it's a department number, it's the output. So then, so this function we know, right? So which means this NVL function, yeah. So null value or whatever, right? So to handle case, yeah. So where there are no employees in the specific department by defaulting to 0, yeah, whatever. So select into, like, populating the out parameter. See, complete description also we could able to get it. Now the next question, how to call this particular procedure so that we can get the sum for a given input department. So to do that, one, we can directly execute it from the command line, like exec we have, right? Exec command followed by stored procedure name followed by in parameter or parameter. But if you want to put it in what programmatic form, then we can write what PL SQL block. Yes or no? Procedure language SQL block, right? Where we can say declare begin end. Within that, out parameter is what? Total salary. Where we can supply, we can call this stored procedure name with IT department and with out parameter, right? Which is declared as number here, right? Then we can print. So DBMS put line is a print statement, right? So we can print total salary, which is out parameter. That's all we'll get it as a result of this PL SQL block. Clear, no? So we talked about what simple table, modifying a table, then insert data to the table, update data to the table, then retrieve the data from the table. Then we have also understood like how to create the stored procedure from the scratch, then get it executed by using what PL SQL block. I hope it is clear till now. Yes or no, guys?
Yes, Narasimha. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So now the next question. Let us say we need to what I call create a function. Let's say instead of having out parameter, let's say we expect what return value. So how do you do that? So we can create yeah, create a function, yeah, function instead of stored procedure, yeah, for the above, right? So which means as we all know that this AI, it remembers earlier questions, yeah. See here exactly same thing we are getting it except the return value. Can you see here when you try to make a call to this function for a given department, IT department, we can see what return value. Yes or no? Earlier case out parameter we have seen, right? Now we are seeing return value. Now let us look at how it has written the function. See here, create or replace function. There's a function name by subnet department number as input and return number. See earlier we have seen out parameter, right? Now we are seeing what return. So what is the return? Total salary. Now to do that, this block is same as earlier. There is no change. Some salary into that employee. This is exactly same. This part is same. Only the different from earlier code is what? Return total salary here. So that's it. So this is the way to create a function based on what stored procedure here. Remember, which means we don't need to supply the complete query to get the response. We can supply the partial query which is on top of the previous query. So that is how what I call the AI tools are going to work in an iterative manner or incremental manner to get the response based on what incremental questions or fine-tuned questions. Remember, so it's not mandated that we need to supply the complete query every time. Yeah. So which means if you're not sure about what you're doing with respect to what keying the inputs to this tool, so we can just start with what trial and error approach and then get into closer to the final solution. So which also could be accomplished quite easily by using what AI tools, especially by using ChatGPT. Clear, no? So that's it. Now let us try getting into what let us say execute stored procedure from a command line. How to execute stored procedure from a command line. So which means this is going to be another way to execute a stored procedure. So earlier what we did by using what PL/SQL block, we have understood how to execute it. See here, it is showing complete thing. So log on to SQL Plus by
Your
supplying
database.
username and password with a corresponding database, like let's say Scott, then exec, yeah, followed by procedure name with n number of parameters. Example, exec calculate department salary for our for our previous procedure, right? So we supply IT and get the out parameter, which is colon total salary. That's it. Clear, no? This is another way
It's giving
to yes,
it's
please.
giving the example what he have did the earlier procedure, right?
Exactly,
It's
you're right.
automatically
Same
taken.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It remembers like what we did earlier, right? But for us,
Okay.
it's very difficult to remember, right? As a human, we can remember some things, but not all. Correct, no?
But here we didn't mention in the input parameter, in the above,
Yes.
like
Yeah, it took
incremental.
sample. Yes, because it remembers like whatever questions that you asked, right? So based on that, it is going to give us the example. You got right? Right, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Now general answer. Yeah. Another way you can also say here is what call stored procedure. Call SP by supplying parameters. Yeah. So now can I call stored procedure from Python programming language? Let us try to embed this particular SP, which is stored procedure, from programming language. How do you do it? Yeah. So how to call above stored procedure from, let's say, Java. I'll just put Java. Yeah, that is fine. Yeah. So now it is going to give us the complete code to make a call to this particular stored procedure. Yeah. Now let us try to
That's good.
understand that. Yeah. Now it is done, right?
Yeah.
See, now with this way, we are trying to understand how to integrate SQL code with programming language. Right? Now, we all know that these are the packages or classes that we need to import from SQL package callable statement. That class is required to take care of SP operations in Java code, connection
It's
to connect to the
connections
database,
into
yes,
yes.
and driver manager to register and types, SQL types that we use. Yeah. So this is a
Simply it's giving
class
the
name.
code.
Exactly, complete code. You are right. Like URL, right? See here, in order to connect to this database, now we need to supply what JDBC URL, no? Yes or no?
JDBC
JDBC code,
connections
Oracle. Then here we need to supply your host name. Yes or no? And a port
yes,
number. Yeah. And then username,
and the
password.
name and the
These are
user
the
password. Yes.
exactly. We need to fill only these things, right?
Yes.
Then try catch. Can you see in Java we have got exception handling, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So try. In try, where we place anonymous code, like a driver manager, get connection. We supply URL here, JDBC URL, you get a connection object. Yes or no? Then, sorry. Once you do that, it is forming a SQL statement like call store procedure. Yes or no? Now, callable
Yes.
statement is one of the class which we imported, right? In that, it is
Yeah.
calling what? By using prepared call. Yeah. Then you got callable statement object. Use that object, register out parameters. This is a numeric type, right? Then set string to what? Which department here? IT department as input in parameter, right? Yes or no? Then execute procedure. Look at here. This is where procedure is going to get executed. What is the procedure name, guys? There we already have it. It's a
Yes.
calculate
Calculate
department salary
department
support. Yes,
salary.
sir. Exactly. Yeah. Then callable through callable statement, prepare call we are doing here. Then supply the input department. Then get it executed. Yeah. So that's it. Once you are done with that, you can print total
Batch
salary
exceptions.
under the
Yes.
console. That's it. So this is how we can integrate, say, SQL or calling database
Java.
stored procedure from Java. That's it. Clear now, guys? Yes or no? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But we are just understanding basics only, but complex things I'll talk about it because before I talk about complex things, right? So we need to make sure that all the fundamentals are very clear. Yes or no? Gayatri and Ramesh?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm trying to talk about simple things. Then we'll convert this to what? In data warehousing or ETL world or information world, how it works in reality. So that way you will
Okay.
understand clearly. Yeah, fine, right?
Yeah.
So that's it. So any questions so far from anybody? Ramesh and
So
Gayatri?
here we can create a database and we can restore and delete a drop and everything we can take help from this,
Everything,
right?
all the SQL operations. Yes, like whatever database commands we have, right? Like DDL, DML, TCL, DCL,
Yes.
or even
Yes.
database administration commands like create user, create group, create a role, grant
Yeah.
deviate to appropriate user. All such things also can also be done by using this I3. Yeah,
That's great. That's great.
yeah. All of them you'll get it, but we're only understanding ChatGPT. But we'll try to execute these things in real environment. That I'll set it up so that we'll look at the results in reality. Correct, no?
Yes.
So that's the next step. Because now we are understanding the concepts only, right? Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
fine. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can shout out. Else we'll stop here. We'll continue from it tomorrow. Fine.
Yes,
Sure,
Narasimhan, we
Narasimhan.
are fine.
Gayatri, yeah. Thanks to both of you, and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Narasimhan.